Happy belated 4th of July, everybody. Today is July 5th, 2022, and today is a repeat episode. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, I'm not going to lie to you, I've been gone. It's been a holiday weekend and been on vacation, but that's not the only reason. I'm going to go back into the archives and I'm going to put out my hunt from last year, my Michigan buck. The reason being is because everybody, honestly, that's probably my most downloaded podcast. I mean, thousands of downloads that episode got. And I've been getting some inquiries about it, and people, it's getting lost in the mix, basically. I mean, it happened last November, so my catalog's getting bigger, so I thought I'd get it back out there. It's an unbelievable story, and, here in July, other than Velvet Fest coming, what better way to get hyped up is just to listen to a good deer story. So that's today's podcast. My buddy Mitch Reitz kind of co-hosted that with me. So we're gonna dive into that. But before we do, I want to talk about a couple things. I recorded a couple podcasts last week, one with Helix Broadheads. So we're gonna dive deep into that in the coming weeks, and starting as of this July right now. Latitude Outdoors, Latitude Tree Saddles. I am officially partnered with them. I've kind of hinted on that a little bit, but contractually, it starts this July. So we are in full force there. I've got content that I'm making, videos, and are going to be coming out here. I did a podcast with those guys last week as well, so you're going to hear those in the coming future as well. But I don't want you guys to think I'm not coming at you from an expert saddle hunter, because I'm not. Literally, I used to saddle hunt about 11 years ago, and I'm a greenhorn again. So I'm trying to learn this stuff, again, and try to, get a system down, because back then I didn't have a system. And matter of fact, I was just texting with Greg Litzinger, because he's a saddle hunter, and I'm trying to get all the stuff that I need to get as far as for being public land safe, as far as gear hangers and stuff like that, and these little trinkets and everything that I'm just in the dark on. I'm asking guys that are a lot more advanced and know a lot more than I do. So that's what we're doing right now. But also, so I did a podcast with Helix Broadheads, Bryant Lyon over there. That's going to be coming live in Latitude. If you guys want to know any more about those products, go to their websites. Go to helixbroadheads.com. I actually have a code. The code is FALLHX10. So when you order your broadheads, type in FALLHX10 to save some money. Latitude, the same thing. Go to latitudeoutdoors.com. Check out their saddles. Get it now, because it is one of those things that you gotta practice at it. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but honestly, I think once you get into it, you'll really enjoy it. So next one is Vector Custom Arrows. So Vector Custom Shops. Type in Fall 10 at checkout for some new arrows. I'm shooting my HMRs again, getting those ready for hunting season with a 125 Helix on the front. And I'm doing the 4-fletch. Go to their website, check them out, do the arrow builder, and get them ordered. Get those things coming ASAP. So Fall 10 at checkout for that. All lowercase for that as well. And last but certainly not least, Exodus trail cams. I'm literally getting ready in a couple days. My buddy Kevin and I are heading to some public land, some stuff that we did scout this spring. Saturday morning, we're leaving at 5:30 a.m., and we are going up there, and I'm putting out some Exodus. So it's getting to be that time. I mean, get some cameras out there and get things working. But that's what I'm doing. And the renders are going to be, with solar panels, are going to be put out. Hope to hell that they don't get stolen. Please, people, if you want the card, take the card out. I don't care. Just leave the camera in the solar panel. Please, just do that. Gonna take those out there, waders and boots, going in thick, and seeing what we got for our crop this year. So super excited about that, but go check them out at ExodusOutdoorGear.com. So I guess with that being said, I'm trying to rack my brain of what else we got. I really don't think I have anything else to talk about right now. I want to get to this interview, that Mitch and I did about my buck. 2-year quest last year. It ended in 2021. Awesome deer. and one hell of a story that it was crazy. If you have not heard this, this is honestly one of the, I didn't think so at first, but like now that I sit back and like replay it, like it's one of the crazier stories it is the craziest story I've ever been a part of. So it's pretty neat. So thank you guys for all the support and all the downloads. Please go to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating, and leave a written review. And here's this interview with Mitch and I. All right, here we are. We are in my new home right now, and I'm with my good buddy Mitch Reitz. He is going to co-host today on the Michigan episode. It's 10:22 p.m. in the evening. We always do podcasts late, I feel like, you and I.
Yeah, we're busy guys.
We got beers flowing right now, but Mitch got a hold of me a couple days ago and said, hey, when are you going to come out with the Michigan episode? I said, I'm going to hopefully do it soon. He goes, when are you going to record it? And I said, like I said, soon, but he said, do you have a co-host? I said, no. He goes, I'm there. So
invited myself, more or less.
But the good thing is like Mitch and I were just talking. We got the deer sitting right here too, and it's the first time he's got to see it. But Mitch was asking me some stuff about it, and I was telling him, he's like, well, I didn't know this happened. I didn't know you shot him on the ground, and I didn't know. And I'm like, okay, we'll get into that. So he literally knows hardly anything about this story, so this is going to be good.
Right. I know as much as all you guys out there, so
good deal. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, this is officially the first podcast in my new house. I mean, we're sitting on plywood floors, drywall that is not primed or painted yet. Everything's I just got done working. We were cleaning up tonight, and I'm going to start priming the house this weekend and then painting, and then we're moving along. But we got shop lights, and we got a little bit of heat in here. It's like 62 degrees. Yep. So, hey, this is the first one.
And we got plenty of podcasts to come out of this new house.
Oh, there's going to be a lot.
There's a nice office, a nice
podcast studio.
Yeah, it's the full deal for
actually built a podcast studio in my new house.
That's great.
Yeah. I can't wait. But we're actually sitting right in the kitchen where the island would be, so this will probably be the last podcast that will be before the island gets in here. So, but anyway, so just to recap, November 3rd. So we're recording this on November 11th. November 3rd, I killed a buck in Michigan that I've been chasing for 2 years. A lot of people have been asking me. I was just telling Mitch this. This buck has created more buzz on the podcast side of things I've had a pretty good year this year, and out of all the bucks that I've killed this year, this one has created the most buzz, and people want to know about this one the most. It's crazy, dude. I mean, the direct messages I got from Instagram and Facebook and people just reaching out to me, podcast listeners, are like, when are you going to come out with this? We want to know the story. And I'm like, really? You want to know about this deer?
This is days after an Ohio booner.
Yeah, a typical booner.
Gosh.
It's like, do you guys not know what happened like 9 days ago?
Wow. But let's give it to them.
I agree. So I guess to start off first, you've killed a good buck already this year. So let's.
Yeah. I got lucky, and it was one of those days where I saw the weather was going to be good, and I told my boss I need this Tuesday morning off, and I'm also taking Thursday morning off. And Tuesday morning I went in, and it was pretty slow to begin with, and I touched the horns together about 9 o'clock, and then again at 9:30, and about 10 o'clock he came right down the pipe. You could tell he probably heard it from a distance, maybe earlier that morning, and kind of just circled back to see, it's not like he came charging in or anything, but you could tell he was just cruising, kind of, checking things out, seeing what was up. And of course it was shortly after I took I used my phone to film, and I took it off the camera arm, and of course he came right down the pipe about 2 minutes after I did that, and came right through it 18 yards, and it was perfect, man.
The rest was history.
Yep. Watched him drop and everything, and it was great, and made it to work on time, and came back and
so you didn't have to take any PTO then?
I did for the morning. I took the half day off, and then I shot him at 10:15 and made it to work at noon after I'd tagged him and kind of drug him as far as I could. But
did you have any beers?
I did not, but the day before, I told my coworker, I'm going to kill one tomorrow, and I'm going to put it on the hood of my Cobalt, and I'm going to drive it to work. Because I sold my truck over the winter, and so now I'm down to the 2008 Chevy Cobalt, and this deer barely fit in the trunk, so anything bigger I'm going to have to pass up because it's not going to fit. I'm not going to be able to haul it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was cool. And, looking to fill my second tag, and you are as well. So.
Yeah, I am. I'm hoping. I was actually close the other night.
Yeah.
Like real close. There's been a fourth buck this year. I mean, I was literally 40 yards from filling my second Michigan tag and on my family farm, and just kind of went in on a whim. Got between two hemlock cedar swamps where I figured bucks would be cruising downwind of them looking for does, and he read it like a T, but I was just out of position by 40 yards. And honestly, when I hung in the stand, I got in the stand. I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, it's a good spot. I felt really good about it, but I'm like, I should be a little deeper. Like I felt like I should be, And then I'm like, what? I can see a ways. If a deer comes up, I could work him with a call if I needed to. He came up to 80 yards. I freaking yelled at him with a grunt and a bleat, and he did not care. He was on a mission somewhere, and I'm like, shit. He has been, probably 120-inch 9-pointer. And I would have been like, yep. Buck number 4, let's go.
Fourth tag, here you go. So it's November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Happens?
Well, let's go back, though. So this story starts in 2020, last season. In the summer, you put cameras out, all that. And this is behind where I'm building my house and on the 1 acre farm. So everybody listening can follow and that has heard a lot about the 1 acre farm and everything. So started getting this buck on camera along with a couple other bucks and a buck that I named Tynes Ward that I ended up missing last year. Okay. He was a big, tall 9-pointer. Well, the 6-pointer, he was a clean 6, but he was a big bodied deer. I figured he's probably at least 3.5, maybe 4.5. But he had a weird rack in the sense of like, it looked like he just didn't grow G2s. It looked like his G3s were out there and his beams, and he had brows. But he was like a bowling ball type of deer. Like he had a Roman nose already, and his neck was already swollen in like August. Like it was just... He was just like a guy with no neck.
Showed me. It was crazy, dude. It looked like a full rut,
That's exactly what it was, And he was really recognizable because when he turned, he just looked like he had no G2s. It was just G3s and beams. Like, so you knew. I called him the Super 6. That's, and I was fully like ready to kill this deer. Like, I'm like, man, that'd be a cool deer to kill.
Last year,
2020.
Right.
So we get into August. He's showing up all the time on camera. And I'm like, well, it's either him or, there's a couple other bucks, like I said, Tynes Ward. He kind of showed up later in October, or like, I shouldn't say later, middle of October, and then I ended up missing him. And then I have no idea where to this day, I have no idea where he's at. If he was killed, I haven't heard. So I think it was, I'd have to look at my notes, but this Super 6, he was there the whole time. I watched him all summer. I figured he was 3.5, like I said. The season came, and actually I was hunting up to my family farm on October 2nd night, and I'm sitting there, and I got like a 90-inch 8-pointer coming right at me, and I could feel my phone in my pocket vibrate. And I'm like, I remember the distinct feeling, but I'm focused on what's going on. After that buck left, I looked at my phone, and it was my cell cam in my 1 acre going off, and it was the 6-point in there in daylight. And I'm like, crap, October 2nd, my gosh, like I could have killed him that night, and I chose wrong. And that's the kind of the downfall of cell cams. It makes you feel like... If you guys are in the market for a new trail cam, go check out ExodusOutdoorGear.com. Check out all the cameras that Exodus Trail Cams has to offer. Right now, you need to go over to the website, sign up for their newsletter, stay up to date with all their information, know when they have new stock in and what's going on there. Also, they run a 5-year warranty on their cameras, and they have a 5-year theft warranty. So if your camera gets stolen, it's called the Exodus Advantage. They'll give you 50% off a replacement camera. That's pretty crazy. So go over to ExodusOutdoorGear.com and check out everything Exodus has to offer.
I haven't had my first reality check from a cell cam, but I know it's going to happen some morning when I'm at work and should have been out, and one will come by.
Yeah. And I've had a couple reality checks this morning. I actually had a reality check.
Oh, God.
But, no, so that happened. And I didn't get a lot of pictures of him after that. It was almost like he just kind of vanished in a way. But he never lived on me. Like, I'm in farm country. It's, wooded fence rows, little wood lots. Like, he just wasn't living on me. I was a destination for him. And I knew that I was just going to have to catch him on his feet, cruising for does. And that's kind of how this farm, you kind of have to hunt this farm is just, early. If you can get lucky, you can. Honestly, this farm's really good. Like in the first 5 days of season when you're getting them when they're still kind of dumb. Mm-hmm. And then from like October 19th, like when that first doe comes into estrus, like then you'll start seeing them like gradually leading up to November. It's like, okay, it's on now. Then you're going to start seeing some bigger deer. But like I said, I didn't get a lot of pictures of them after that. October 15th, I went out and sat on a field edge, and I had my first encounter with him. He came, it was a morning, and I watched him come out of the neighbor's timber and walk all the way to me. I mean, for like 300 yards, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna smack him here. He comes to 70 yards. I had a grunter. I threw a little tending grunt, like just like a little contact, like, hey, I'm over here kind of thing. He stops, looks my direction, and goes in the timber behind me. It wasn't 15 minutes later. He was heading for the 1 acre. 15 minutes later, my phone goes off. He's in the 1 acre in daylight. It was a morning. Okay, so he went by me and then went right to the 1 acre, and the cell cam goes off. And I'm like, crap.
So rewind a little bit. What
Okay.
made you, like, if a deer's on a beeline right to me like that, what
He
made
wasn't
you
on a
wanna
beeline to me. So he was
call to him?
paralleling me. So
Okay.
if I'm sitting and let's just say I'm facing south, he was like probably 100 yards east of me, heading straight north. So
Okay.
he was like paralleling me.
Okay.
He wasn't going to come right at me.
Right.
So yeah, good
Okay,
clarification
gotcha,
there though.
gotcha.
Because I wouldn't have called if he was coming right at me, I wouldn't have called.
Right.
But I knew he wasn't going to commit to me. So, and that's the shitty thing about farm country hunting. You can see them, but it's like, they might only come to 100 yards,
Yeah.
and it's like you can't do anything about it sometimes. So,
Yep.
yeah, but that happened. And then it like the fire just burnt even more. It's like, okay, now it's like a fight. Now I want to kill you.
Yeah. You showed yourself. Now.
Exactly.
Now I'm coming for you.
Exactly. So then, I'm just kind of reading my notes here. I had to write all this whole timeline down because there's so many different things about what was going on.
Yeah, going into this, Aaron was just saying, "Yeah, this happened." And I'm like, "Really? I didn't know that." Like, oh, he killed it off the ground, like you said. And then
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Like, so this story is about to unfold.
Yeah. So a couple days later, I get back in the same stand that I just had the encounter with him, and it was a really foggy day. It was a morning. It was a morning. Sorry. This was like October 20th, 22nd, right there, somewhere. A couple days after I encountered him, I get in the stand, and same stand. It's a foggy morning. It's kind of misting rain, and as it gets daylight, the fog kind of lifts, and like I remember I look over, and he's at like 300 yards with a doe, just locked on her. Like he's in lockdown right then. And he stayed there for almost 40 hours with her, like would not move. Like they moved like 40 yards. You know, I remember driving by him in the vehicle.
I talked to you that day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're like, you're not going to believe this, but they're
He's
still
there.
out there.
Yep. And I got back in the stand that evening. Same thing. I mean, he's 300 yards away or so. Couldn't do anything about it. It was just, I was the closest I could get to him. You know, I could have tried to, I actually could have got closer, but it would have been in the wide open on the ground. And then it's like just hoping this doe comes by. So it was just one of those things that, you know, it is what it is. I know he's right there. And so that happened. And then, honestly, I never saw him from the stand again that year. That was, right around the 20th, the 22nd, so, right in those couple days. Never saw him from the stand again. My neighbor saw him a couple times, passed him up with a gun, didn't want to kill him. I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine with me.
Yep. Some people don't know.
Yeah.
Just because something looks a little goofy.
Yep.
They don't really know how old it is. And
well, I figured he was a 3-year-old. Could have been a 4-year-old, but I really figured he was a 3-year-old. He was just a 6-pointer. Honestly, he was probably, I don't know. You saw the video of him. What do you think? He was a 90-inch 6-pointer, maybe 80-inch 6-pointer.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have cracked the 100-inch mark. You know.
No, but he had good mass that year, and
he had a good.
He just
frame.
didn't have any tines.
Yeah. If you put G2s on him, he would have been probably 110-inch 6-pointer probably.
And anybody around
or 8-pointer, I guess,
would have killed him. You know, with
a
gun.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of the way we were talking about earlier. It kind of happens like that around us. You know.
Yep.
People will pass on the weird ones or the ones they think are inferior, just because they aren't the perfect 8-pointer or whatever, and those deer subsequently get older. So
yeah,
which is fun to hunt them.
Exactly. And I didn't really see him again. Like I said, my neighbors saw him in gun season and saw him in his yard, in his driveway, throughout December, and then it got into January and he saw him again, and I'm like, okay, so he made it. So I'm like, good. You know, I cannot wait to see if he shows up and.
Yeah, hopefully he blows up. Or
exactly.
Who knows what's going to happen. But.
So summer 2021 comes around. I'm starting to build my house. July comes around. The weekend of July 10th, I think it was. It was right after the 4th of July, the weekend after 4th of July. I'm roofing my house. I'm putting shingles on my house. I'm up there by myself. I look out back in the beans. There's 7 deer out there. And they're probably 200-300 yards away, and I'm like, shit, I better get down, go to my truck, get the binos, and see what these deer are. I picked the binos up. The first one I put on, I'm like, oh my God, that's him. Because I could tell from his frame how, you know, the year before, he didn't have G2s, basically.
Yep.
Well, his right side was that way. He didn't have a G2 on his right side, and I'm like, oh my God, it's him again. Yep. But on the left side, he grew a G2 this year. So he's got 4 on the left, and he had, let me look at him. He had 2 for sure on the right, and then he had a couple kickers and a couple flyers, and I'm like, I don't know what he's going to, what's going to be scoreable on him or whatever, but I'm like, oh my God, that's him. And he was with 6 other bucks, and I'm like, you're a giant-bodied deer. He dwarfed every deer. Same thing, bowling ball guy. No neck, Nathan, swelled up in August or July, and it's like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
don't
that
really see that very often either.
No, you don't.
That's
and then
cool.
As it got more into end of July and August, he was clockwork. I mean, we'd be working on the house. I'd look out at 7 o'clock in the evening. He'd walk out, same runway, feeding the beans. I could have killed him so many times, you know, if we could have hunted in the summer. You know, I mean, here he comes. He'd walk out. I got footage of him through a spot and scope on my phone. I'm like, man, this deer is so cool. And he's my main focus. He's my number one. He's the biggest deer I've had on camera all year, even to this day. Biggest deer.
So did you have him on the camera? I know you run a camera on that one lone tree in the fence row behind your house. He was
good call
regular
on that.
on there.
So I call that camera the summer camera because literally every buck hits, there's 6 crabapple trees in a fence row in the middle of a section. And for whatever reason, these deer always make a scrape underneath this crabapple tree in the summer, and every deer walks by it. Like, it's a fence row that connects, you know, it basically connects one section of timber to the next section of timber. It's like right in the middle. So every deer walks by it in the summer. So I put a camera on it, and I'll get like every buck, I feel like, in the section on there. And so after seeing this deer out there in July and coming into August, I couldn't really tell what – I mean, I could tell he was a good deer. He was a shooter for sure. I just couldn't tell what he had. I never really had a close picture of him or anything like that. Well, I put a camera out finally. I'm like, I better get a camera out, and on that tree you're talking about. And I think it was 2 weeks later, after a really hard rain, I'm like, well, I'm going to walk back there. My daughter and I walk back there, muddier than crap. It's warm. And pull the card. We go back home, and there he is finally. Him and the 6 or 7 other bucks he was with right there, and he's right in front of the camera. Like, and now I can see, like, it's a video too. I've got he's got a little drop tine on the one side. He's got a couple kickers, and I'm like, oh boy, keep growing, you know. And honestly, that's kind of how it was. But like when mid to late August came, like as it started getting closer to September, he was gone. Never saw him again. I'm like, shit, like got another year older and he's disappeared. Yeah. So I really didn't know what to think. Like, I didn't know what to do. I mean, not that I was like up at night thinking about him, but I'm like, he'll show back up maybe. Because the year before, I felt like I would just drive around and I'd see him. Like he was just there, you know. And then it was like, I think it was, man, when was it? Was it, season came, so I never got a picture of him. I take that back. I got a picture of him early September. I got one picture of him in the 1 acre, and that was it. It was like the first week of September, and then he was gone. So then I went to that stand that I encountered him out of the year before on the field edge, and I'm like, I can see everywhere from there. So I'm like, I like to start there and then kind of move where I need to early. First night of season, I went in there, saw a shooter, and I was after another 8-pointer that I have to this day yet to see. I don't know where he went. He's probably a 115-inch 8-pointer, like, well, good enough for me. Like, I actually saw him a couple nights before season working on the house, and I saw him do something, and I'm like, he went right underneath that stand. I'm like, I'm going to get in there. Hopefully he does it again. Yep. He came out, but it was late. So I got back in there the next night, and that 8-pointer came out to like 70 yards, and I, couldn't get him to come any closer. And then I look up, and coming out of the neighbors, here comes Meathead here. Yeah. Super 6, And he comes out, and he's with another buck, and there was 2 other bucks that came out after him, and he bullied them all over, running them like it was like the rut. Like he just didn't want any deer to be around him, nothing like that. He was probably at 200 yards, and then nothing. I was getting ready to go to Illinois on my Illinois hunt. That was going to be like middle of October kind of hunt. So I kind of let, with building on my house too, I kind of let the cameras just kind of marinate. Mm-hmm. Well, when I got back from Illinois, which would have been like around the 16th of October, 17th October, somewhere in there, I went and checked a camera. And on the 12th of October, he hit a camera at 1:30 in the morning. And I'm like, okay, he's still here. Like, now I just got to, this is the 12th of October. It's like, this deer's an older deer. How do you hunt him kind of thing? And it's next to some standing corn. So I'm like, well, maybe he's living in this standing corn. And, he's just not moseying very far. Yeah. So also, some other deer, there was like another 8-pointer, 110-inch 8-pointer that I was kind of after. So I knew there was a couple deer around. It was just like kind of methodically get in the stand and just kind of see what happens. He was hitting a scrape on the 12th of October, and I had a stand right above the scrape. Like the tree that the scrape was on, I had the stand in that tree. So I'm like, I'm just going to like kind of hone in on this spot. ride the hole. Only like methodically do it on the right winds, like low pressure. Don't hunt it all the time, and just kind of see what happens. And saw a couple shooters from there. Never saw him. And then I went to Ohio on the 25th, and then killed my buck on the 26th. And I had to stay a couple days. I ended up coming back on the 29th of October, I think it was, from Ohio. So then, those 2 tags were punched. So I'm like, okay, now it's like come back home. I got 2 tags in Michigan. Those are my only rest of my hunts. Kind of hone in on something there. But the kicker was, and I said this on some other podcasts too, is like, my wife's a nurse. So like during the week, my daughter goes to preschool, so I have to take her to school 3-4 days a week. So it alleviates, like, I can't hunt a lot of like the mornings and everything like that. But what I'll do is after I take her to school, I'll drive around the section until I can find a deer that I can hunt, and then I'll like either get in that night, or if I could think I can make a move on them, I'll make a move on them. And I've actually had pretty like success doing it, not killing them, but like getting close to them,
Yeah.
I feel like it could happen. So, I throw a couple sits in some evenings, not a lot. I've killed 2 good bucks at this time, so it's like the
do
pressure.
I go to the casino or do I hunt, the family farm?
I killed a 145 and a 170, so it's like, well, the pressure's kind of off,
Yeah.
Not gonna lie to you, I'm not like overexerting myself to
Right.
go hunting, even though I love to do that. But it made it to the point where, like I said, I was more methodical with it. I'm not. Like, normally, if I wouldn't have killed a deer, I'd be, like, hunting every morning, every night. Like, just rushing into places, Now it's like, okay, what? Pressure's off a little bit. I don't need to hunt this morning. Like, I'll just hunt it tonight,
Yeah.
I might have, like, what I'm saying is I might have made moves that I probably shouldn't have moved and
Yeah, like
hurt a
blind
spot.
aggression,
Yes.
instead of calculated.
I'm sure you do that. There's times where, you get that self-inflicted pressure where it's like, man, my buddies are killing deer. I need to kill a deer.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I got to get into a spot and I gotta force something to happen. Well, if I wouldn't have killed these other 2 deer, I would have definitely forced something. And I guess to further that point, like, when I get into that scenario, I need to try to figure out a way to like hold back a little bit and trust the farm, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I've hunted this farm enough to where I know when the deer kick on, what they're kind of, historically, what they're going to do, where they're going to move. So, like, kind of trust the farm. And I've glassed this year more from a distance than I have any other year. Now, it helps that that I'm going to live up here, that I've been working up here every night. I have a pair of binos in my tool belt. Like, my dad and I are doing something, and he'll hear me go, he's like, where the hell is he? And it's like, I'm out glassing real quick at prime time, like, where's the deer moving?
Yeah.
So I'm like still doing that.
I mean, like, my situation too. I'm a similar thing where I can drive by the farm on a day that I can't hunt. I can at least give it the once over and, pick up on a pattern from the road, if you're lucky, or, at least see what's in the area. And that's definitely better than sitting at home waiting for your cell cam to go off. Or
that goes a long way, though, dude.
It does. And over time, like, if you do that year in and year out, you can kind of see, like, oh, yeah, early season is kind of a bust, or they're not as predictable. But then, like, late season, they do this, and they're very predictable coming to this one food source every night, especially when the weather kicks to the, towards the worst. And don't feel like you can't scout from your car.
I got a question for you. We're going to divert a little bit here, but when you do that, because you've kind of taught me that how to around here anyway, because like when we go to state, like Casey and I, we gas and glass all the time. Like, it's just like, okay, we'll take nights off where it's like, it's November 3rd, but we're taking a night off, and a lot of people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be here hunting, but like you want to get a bead on a deer. Like, if you don't have a bead on a deer, figure it out.
Yeah.
So like you've kind of taught that to me around here, like if you're going into a section that's like big woods, like my family farm, 218 acres, like in a scenario like that where you can't really see in there, like what are you doing when you're glassing? Like are you just trying to check the closest farm fields around? Like, hey, okay, he's hanging out here, but it could be 400 or 500 yards away. Like, how are you breaking that down?
I would definitely glass any farm field in the area just to get an idea of what's there. And honestly, lately I've been trying to work the angle of like, can I get in there somehow, like permission wise,
Yep.
or do I have property near there through my family or whatever that I could hunt? There's kind of two extremes, like where you can like take your property and log it or TSI and do all the food plots
Yep.
and everything and draw everything in, and then there's the other extreme of like just going and finding it and getting in there. And that's kind of the like big woods. It's not as easy to do that because you can't see as much from the road, but in your area there, you can definitely get a feel for what's in the area by driving around
enough
the block.
farm around too.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a lot of woods and a lot of property owners, but if you're seeing like the field at the front of your family farm is a perennial glassing hotspot for everybody in the
It's ridiculous.
county.
I wish there was trees up against the road.
Right. So when you have a spot like that, like you're lucky where you can see those deer and you can hunt them. But like if I saw that, I would either try to get on that piece or try to get on something near there, especially like, okay, they're coming out into Aaron's field. Like maybe I can get behind that, even if it's a half a mile, maybe
Right.
those deer are coming a long ways out of that big woods.
Depending on the time
that.
of year too, if it's early October or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I guess if you didn't have that luxury, farm fields around, it's just big timber. Are you just you gonna throw some sits in? Just kind of get in, maybe glass on a high point, throw a sit in. Maybe where you could see a ways on some ridges, or like I hypothetically.
Yeah, I really related to when you said like I'm gonna go here, for opening night because I can see a long ways. I would approach it, unless I knew from scouting in the winter or something that there was some pocket where there's just crazy sign. I would definitely probably get to a place where I can see the furthest, maybe call or rattle or whatever to make something happen if I see something at a distance. But yeah, I would definitely try to glass as much as I can from the road and then make a move from there. And
I figured as much. I just wanted to pick your brain on it and see where you're at with it too. So, but yeah, back to the story here. So I got back from Ohio. It was that first week of November. I had to take my daughter to school that week. So I think November 1st was a Monday. So I knew like your typical morning sits were going to be out. Like my wife had to work, and it was like she goes to work way earlier than I do. I work from home, so it's like, okay, Dad's got to do that. So November 1st was a Monday, I believe, and she had to go to school that day. And what I would do is, and I've done this for the last couple of years, when I take her to daycare or school or whatever, I would just drive around the section and just try to make a play on a deer or see what's moving. Just like try to get one going back to bed or chasing a doe or locked down and go set up on it. So November 1st, I drove around. I saw some deer on the neighbors, like couple miles to the north. Like there's bucks like chasing does like crazy across the road, like good shooter bucks. I'm like, okay, gets me a good gauge on like what's going on, like, okay, they're chasing right now. Obviously it's November 1st. So November 2nd comes around. I'm supposed to be in Ohio still, but we got a babysitter for my daughter, but I'm home. So I still had to work that day. So she still went to the babysitter. So after I dropped her off at the babysitter, I'm like, well, I'm going to drive around a little bit, I was on the phone with a buddy at the time, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm driving around. I'm going to try to find the six. Like, I haven't seen him. Like, I literally told him that, and I'm like, I haven't seen him since the 12th of October.
Yeah, if he's not on me, he's got to be somewhere
within
somewhere. A couple miles.
I was going to do a 1 to 2 mile loop around my section just to see. I mean, it's farm country, it's farm country all around me. Like, deer are out right now. They're on does, everything. And I happened to go down the road that, the neighbors that butts up to me, and there he is. Literally, I'm on the phone with my buddy, and I'm like, dude, oh my God, right there. He is 40 yards off the road on the neighbors in the standing bean field. He's got a little buck with him, and he's got a doe. And I thought he had another doe with him too, but I think she was over the hill. But you could tell he was locked on a doe. And this little buck was just a satellite little puke, just waiting, like, when do I get my chance kind of thing. Well, the kicker is, where I saw him, I have a stand like within 250 yards from where he's at, on the opposite side of not on the opposite side of the road, but on the far end. Like if I'm on the road, it goes road, him, and then my stand is on the other side. So he's in the middle. I'm like, shit, I'm going to go grab my stuff, get in the stand, and do like an all-day deal.
Yeah.
I go get my stuff. I go into the back door into the stand, and I'm sitting there, and it is windier than a bastard, and I am 2 layers too shy, okay? And the wind is pounding me in the face, and I'm like, come out, just come
Hopefully
out.
He shows up. Yeah.
He's within 250 yards of me the last time I saw him. I get in the stand about 9 o'clock, and about 10 o'clock, I look through the neighbor's timber, because I'm probably 100 yards off the neighbor's timber on mine. And I see the little buck that he was with working at me. And then I see the doe, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
They work out. They come right underneath me. He never shows. And I'm like,
yeah, he's
okay.
gotta
So
be close.
that's when I said to myself, like, okay, there was another doe, and that other doe took him somewhere else. Like, there was 3 other deer with him. So I was thinking, I sat there for another hour and a half. I sat past noon, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was so cold, and these deer kind of worked off. But at noon, I had 3 other does come out, and I saw 2 other bucks just cruising, and I'm like, it's on. Like, we got to go, And that's November 2nd. So I get out of the stand. I go home, and I work the rest of the day. I didn't hunt that night. I had to go get my daughter from school and do that sort of thing. November 3rd, Wednesday, got to do the same routine. Like, I got to take her to school and all that stuff. So I take her to school that day. They had school. And I'm talking to a buddy, Tyler, on the phone. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm just driving around the section, doing what I do here. And, it's only 8 o'clock.
Just creeping.
It's literally 8 o'clock. A lot of people aren't even out of bed yet, and I'm just got daylight a little bit ago, and I'm driving right by my house, and I look over, and I go, oh, my God. And Tyler goes, what? And I said, he's standing right there with a doe, and he's fighting 3 other bucks off. I can see him running 3 bucks off, and I'm like, she is hot. He's not leaving her. And he's right on the edge of standing corn. And he goes, what's going on? I'm like, the 6. He's right there on my property right now. I'm going to go kill him. I said, I'm going to go kill him. I'll talk to you later. He goes, let me know what happened. Click. And I just hang up. I drive to my house here. I get my stuff on. I head to the standing corn. And I'm like, this is going to be perfect. The wind is out of the west, and it's going to be hit. I'm coming in from the east. He's not going to have a clue. Not going to have a clue. And so I get to the point where I'm coming in north of him. Okay, he's south. I got to get around a bend. And when I left him, I'm like, he's not going to leave. To me, he did not want that doe to be in the corn. He doesn't want the doe to be in the corn. He wants to see her. When a buck gets on a doe and he gets in the corn, he can't maneuver her how he wants to. So he wants to be out in the open. That's why you see all the big deer out in the open, in my opinion. Yep. So I get in this corn. I get like 2 rows in, and it butts right up to the timber there's like 4 acres of timber that I can hunt right there. And I'm sitting on a knee in the corn, and it like, on like the turns of the corn, like you never see a cornfield that grows really well, like right on the edge, it's like deer eat it and I'm sitting there and the corn stalks are like only like waist high, and I'm just thinking to myself, I haven't seen him yet, other than when I left him with the truck. When I told Tyler, hey, I'm gonna go kill this deer, I haven't seen him yet. I just think he's to the south of me. I'm coming in from the north, and I'm trying to get my game plan. I'm within 100 yards of him right now. The wind is blowing good to where he can't hear me. I can make a move. But I'm like, I don't know what other bucks are around. I just know that there's like 3 other bucks, and I don't know what other deer. I'm sitting there, and I'm literally on a knee with my bow, and I knocked an arrow. And I hear a twig snap to my right, and I look over, and here comes a 115, 120-inch 8-pointer coming right at me at 11 yards. And I said, oh, my God, I'm going to shoot this deer right here. He comes out of the tall grass. He's in CRP that's probably like chest high. He has no idea. He's one of the bucks satellite bucks that my buck is like chasing off.
Yeah.
So 5 yards in front of me is a big dirt mound, and this 8-pointer is going to walk behind the dirt mound, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot him at 11 yards on the other side when he comes by to go south to this doe. He gets behind the dirt mound. I go to full draw, and I'm like, this is going to be this is whitetail adrenaline shit. This is going to this doesn't happen to me. I'm waiting at full draw, and I'm like, anytime now. Anytime. 30 seconds goes by. I can't see this deer. Has not come out yet, either side. And this dirt mound's not huge. It's probably 7 foot tall, but it's not like, And I'm like, what the hell? And I kind of peek around my bow, and he's going straight away from me. Oh, he went straight like west. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look, and I range him 54 yards. I'm like, I'm not going to shoot him that far. Like, he's walking away from me. Like, he's gone kind of thing. So I'm like, what the hell is going on right now,
Yeah.
So then I kind of gained my composure. He kind of starts working south. So he was acting like there was more deer to the south. So I'm like, okay, that buck's got to still be down there. The big deer's got to be down there. So I'm like, well, I'm going to get in the corn. I'm right on the edge. I'm going to get like 2 or 3 rows in, and I'm just going to start working down the corn. And I got to make this bend. I got to get down there. So I get in the corn, and I'm working, and all of a sudden I see a doe. And then I see him, again, the buck, the 8-pointer, and he's on the other side. I can't shoot him. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I want to see if this big deer's here because, he's what I came for. And right when I said that, all of a sudden a doe comes running right at me. She damn near clips me. I'm 2 rows into the corn. She's right on the other side of the corn, has no idea I'm there, runs right by, and I'm like, oh, my God, I got to get ready. I knock my bow. I'm like, that's got to be his doe. He's going to be coming. Never comes. She runs by me and into the timber, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, what's going on? Like, there's another doe. Maybe that was just a satellite doe. I don't know. At this time, on the neighbors, here comes another buck running from the far timber, just barreling across this field. Can see all this commotion going on. And just this little, basket rack 8-pointer, probably a 90-inch 8-pointer running. I'm like, Jesus, we're going to have a Donnybrook right here, right in the middle. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So as that buck's running across, the 8-pointer's just kind of satelliting, just like, waiting to see what happens. The wind's perfect. I'm like, well, if I blow these 2 bucks, I think I'm fine. I just can't blow whatever is down to the south that I can't see yet. And I'm thinking his doe's got to be down there, and he's down there because I can't see it yet. So I'm like, I'm going to keep inching down there. I keep inching down, and all of a sudden, here comes the 8-pointer right at me, but he's running full tilt. And I'm like, what's going on? He runs by me. And then the other 8-pointer runs by me, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on? Like, just deer running everywhere, It's like
where is the nucleus of all this?
Exactly. Like, I can't see it yet, And so they're by me, they're in the timber, and I'm like, okay, Now I'm left with nothing. There's nothing out in front of me now. And it's like, what the hell? I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, I look across again, and here's 2 coyotes at like 60 yards. Just come right in. Like, they're just milling around. And I'm like, okay, now this is starting to make sense. Like, it looked like 2 beautiful male coyotes to me. And I'm like, well, if you kick all the deer, I'm just going to shoot you then. So then I start kissing at them. One sees me and just kind of runs off. The other one didn't see me. I'm like, okay, I'll shoot you then. So I get ready, and I'm going to fully intend on shooting this coyote because I have yet to see the big deer. I have yet to see his doe. Now that the coyotes are in front of me, I feel like they've blown the whole situation.
Yep.
And I'm kissing. He didn't hear me. He kind of worked off. So I'm like, okay, he's gone. So then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, what do I do here? Do I just wait it out? I've got time, Do I just wait it out? Or, do I peek out there and see what's out there? So I'm like, I better peek. So
You're still in the corn.
Still in the corn. I'm 2 rows into the corn.
Okay.
So I peek out, and I see a doe. And I'm like, And I didn't see any other deer. And I'm like, I wonder if he's in the corn. Like, just watching her from a distance. And she's sitting there with her tail half up. And I'm like, okay.
That's suspicious.
That's not every doe is just doing that when they're not squatting,
Yep.
And at that moment, I looked down my row of corn, and I see the corn stalks mowing down like a combine's coming through, and I see his right side, and I'm like, holy shit, there he is. Like, it was that feeling like, oh my God. And he's at 80 yards, and he comes right out of the corn, and he's looking right at her, and I'm like, wow, I'm in business now. I got a great wind, no more satellite deer around me to screw me up, Nothing. And I'm like, there's enough wind where I can move down the corn, and he won't hear me. I'm like, I've already had this deer
at
in
80 yards.
Yeah. And I've already had this deer in the truck. I'm drinking beer. I'm calling my buddies, everything. And this deer's just standing there. I haven't even pulled back on him yet. So I'm like, I got to start cutting the distance. I'm going to get aggressive, and I'm going to cut the distance. So I go 10 yards. They're not moving. They're fully locked into each other. I go another 10 yards. Not moving. And I'm like, okay, if I get any closer, this is where, I'm getting hairy here. I'm at like that 50, 60 yard range there somewhere. Like, now I feel like my timber's to the north of me. I feel like she's going to move to the timber at some time today. She's going to work him right by me, and I'm just going to sit it out, At that moment, if it couldn't get any weirder, all of a sudden, the doe locks on something, like, it almost looks like she's looking right at me, but she's not. And then the buck locks right too. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm looking down at them. And I'm like, there is something to my right, and I have to look. I look over at 6 yards. That coyote is standing right at 6 yards. Has no idea I'm there. And I look and I'm like, I've got video of this on my phone. I took a video of this. And I'm like, what is going on right now? This coyote's got his head to the ground, just like sniffing. He's at 6 yards from me. And I'm like, don't you blow this whole opportunity for me right now.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, I need to shoot this coyote out of here. So I'm kind of going, like, I'm like just trying to like
go on.
Yeah, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, get on out of here. Like, I need to get the coyote out of here. So the coyote kind of looks up and looks at the deer, but he can't see me out of his peripherals. I'm literally 6 yards from him, and I go like, everybody that's listening can't see us, but I like do a little like slow little wave, like, like I'm like, get the fuck out of here kind of thing. He looks at me and he goes, oh my God, like, there's a human right there. He turns and runs the other way. It worked out perfect. I'm like, okay, great. So then back to the action, So these deer are still locked on him. I'm like, okay, I can move. Like, I need to close the distance.
How did they see him and not see you move? Like, with him being lower?
Because, well, I was sitting on my knee, so I was really low.
Okay.
But where he was like right next to me, where I was literally just like, hey, I'm right here. Get out of here, And they were like, you know how when you look down corn rows, but like kind of at an angle, like the corn, like the stalks are close to each other. You know, it's
it
not
almost creates
exactly
a wall.
It's a wall. It literally, all I can see is his tips of his beams, and I can see her nose. That's it. Like, because there's so much corn in front of us. I'm like, man, I could cut 10 more yards off this while they're watching him run off. So I cut 10 more yards, and I just go.
Are you just thinking, like, in my mind, like, at any moment this is going to go south?
Yes.
Because
the whole time.
That's the feeling I get when you're just being that
Yep.
aggressive, where it's like, am I pushing the envelope a little too much right here?
The whole time I felt like I was like out of body experience. Like this isn't gonna work. Like the whole time I'm thinking this isn't gonna work. This is not gonna work at all. So I cut 10 more yards, and then I cut 10 more yards because they started working out of the corn. His body's out of the corn now. He's facing away from me, and I would make it to where the doe came up to him and would start licking his antlers and licking his face, and I'm like, okay, she picked him.
That's crazy. I've never.
Yes. So as much
like
as he picked her, she picked him too. So I'm like, thought to myself, like, okay, literally they're not going to leave each other. And every time that they move away from me, I'm moving closer. I get to 23 yards. But like I said, the corn is a wall. So I've got to go to full draw, and I got to stand above the corn to try to get a shot through. All of a sudden, they kind of like, not freak out, but they're kind of like, they get a little on edge. They have no idea I'm there still. And I'm like, this is the time I got to make it happen. He turns and he's facing kind of at me. I'm like, here's my shot. I just shot a deer in Ohio in the chest. I'm going to shoot another one right in the chest.
Zero hesitation.
23, 25 yards. I go to full draw. I'm on one knee. I didn't stand up. I range him, put the pin on him. I cut her loose. Right as the arrow comes off my bow, it hits a corn stalk, and it goes right by his chest. It misses him. And all he does, complete miss. All he does is kind of jumps in the air and stops. And is looking right at her like nothing ever happened. And I'm going, oh my God. What just happened? I just whizzed a 500 grain arrow by his chest cavity, and she didn't move and he didn't move. And I'm like, I'm back in it.
Like, for the 10th time.
We were good.
We
were good. So I'm like, I keep telling myself, like, slow the fuck down.
Right.
You've got time.
This is my second chance.
Don't screw this up. Do not screw it up. So, like I said, they're just kind of doing their thing. She would submit to him, lift her tail up. He never got on her, but he'd sniff her, do the thing, kind of thing, but never got on her. So every time their heads would turn, like at this point, they had kind of moved off a little bit. So they were probably in that like 40 to 50 yard range. And I'm like, I am as far as I can get. Like, I just got to let them work to me. And probably 10 minutes goes by. It feels like it's an eternity. I got another arrow knocked. And finally gets to the point where I'm like, I keep telling myself, okay, wait till they turn, go to full draw, stand up, and shoot them. So they finally turn. I go to full draw. I stand up, and he's like not in a good angle at all. And I'm like in the middle of nowhere now. They could see me.
Quartering away?
He was quartering 2, I thought, and the doe was right behind him, so I didn't want to take like a shot there. And I'm like, thought to myself, I get the pin, and I'm like, nope, not gonna work. So I got back down and I like let up.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, just slow down, you know, slow this moment down. You're fine. They're right here. When I ranged him, it was at like 47 yards right there, and I'm like, okay, I can make this happen. So I'm like, wait till they turn their heads again. I'm going to do it again. Same thing happens. I go to full draw. I stand up. I range. 54 yards comes up. And I'm like, I got this. Like, I just shot my Illinois deer at 54 yards. He's standing broadside, not a care in the world. He is focused on her. She's focused on him. Nothing. I put the pin on him, and I cut her loose. The arrow goes, and I hear the air coming out of him. And just thump, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just smoked him. She runs off 30 yards. He kind of bounds 30 yards, and he's looking around like, what just happened? Has no idea he's been hit. And my arrow is hanging out of him only by the fletching and the nock. Literally, like,
Opposite side.
Yep, opposite side. Complete pass-through, basically. Wow. And I'm like, I could tell it was low, and I could tell it was back. And I'm like, okay. But the entry looked great. I'm like, oh my gosh. He sat there for 25 minutes, and he'd hunch his back up, and I'm like, gut shot. I hit him in the guts.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, it felt like it was 3 inches behind the shoulder, and I thought he was like not completely broadside, but I thought he was like really broadside. And so they're sitting there, and there was this little mound of dirt out there. Well, he's literally sat there for 25 minutes, and I'm like,
You got a lot of dirt mounds around this
too
farm.
many. Too many. I didn't have any more arrows because I only had 2 arrows with me. So I'm like, and he's at probably 80 yards, and I don't have an 80-yard pin. Like, it ends at 60.
Right.
Like, I can't, from that. So I'm thinking, what do I do? And I'm like, the only thing that I thought I could do is just keep an eye on him. Like, wherever he goes, I'm going to be able to watch him walk or run for a long time, or he might just bed down right there and die. But I knew I hit him in the guts. I'm hoping I got one lung, possibly liver. And finally, he's kind of moving behind this dirt mound, and I'm like, I started moving the corn, and she saw me move, and she runs away, and he does not care. And I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. Like, he's hurt,
Dizzy.
So I'm thinking, what do I do here? So I'm like, well, I just need to let him be, and like, he's gonna expire himself. Well, I watch him walk 460 yards to the neighbors, and I can do nothing about it. I have no arrows. I can't go get any more arrows. Like, I'm out of arrows, and I feel like if he sees me, he's gonna run to the next county.
Who knows what's gonna happen?
I feel terrible about it, and the arrow's completely out of him now. Like, before he makes this long trek, the arrow's completely out of him. Like, it came out in like 40 yards. I watch him go into the neighbors, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to watch this timber all day. Like, that was my plan, to make sure he doesn't come out. It's a 5-acre section of timber. I can see 3 sides of it. Make sure he doesn't come out. I sit there for 2.5 hours. He never comes out. I had to go pick my daughter up from school at 3 o'clock. When I left to go pick her up at 3 o'clock, the buck is on his feet on the edge of the timber on the neighbors, and just doing the same thing, just kind of, arching his back. Like, I knew it was a gut shot, like I said, and I knew over time he would expire. And I feel terrible talking about it now, you know what I mean? Because I've never gut shot hit a deer before, and so I'm calling everybody. I called Kurt Geyer from Working Class Bowhunter. He has got a big group of guys that he talks to that, I've called my buddy Tyler, called my buddy Swan, and I'm like, what do I do here? And it's like, everybody's saying you just got to give him time. You got to give him time. You go in there, you're going to blow him out of the section. Just give him time. He's going to bed up and he's going to expire. And everybody's like, it's not the thing you want to do, but it's going to happen. Everybody was telling me at least wait 12 hours to go in after him. I got a dog lined up. I got, we're going to go in later that night. So we wait 13 hours, and we go back at 11, 12 o'clock that night. And we go right to, I stalk up on the spot. Before we even started the dog, I spot and stalk right up on the spot where I last saw him, thinking he'd still be in his bed. When we got to the point where we couldn't get any closer and we couldn't see in his bed, I was like, I don't want to go any farther. I just want to listen. Lights were off. We didn't have any lights on or nothing. We brought the dog. The dog came in, tracked him all the way to that spot. He was gone. Wasn't in his bed, nothing. So we tracked and tracked and tracked and tracked. Tracked till like, I don't know, a couple hours. Found a little bit of blood, not a lot of blood. Got my arrow 40 yards, like the dog found my arrow 40 yards after I shot him. Good blood on the arrow. Didn't smell like guts. Good blood. And I'm like, well, when he was walking away, I could see where the exit was, and it was right in front of the back quarter, but low. I could see where it came out, and where it went in, I could see where it went in. It was center mass. It was complete center mass, good up and down. And I'm like, I don't know how I didn't get lung or how I didn't get a clip of the liver there. I knew 100% where I hit him.
So explain to me the entrance wound. Like, where do you, like, behind the shoulder 3 inches, you said?
I thought it was 3 inches, but it was more like 5 or 6 inches behind the front shoulder. Good up and down. It was the center of the body. Literally center of the body.
And you figured he was broadside.
I figured he was broadside more than he was, but he was quartering hard to me, and I didn't realize that.
Okay.
Because just kind of in the heat of the moment, I thought he was broadside, and he literally was like not facing me, but like at a hard quarter, So we're tracking with the dog. The dog did well. My dad was with me, and my buddy Swan was with me. They had to leave. It was about 12:30.
We got to work tomorrow, man.
It was 12:30. And then Taylor Artis and his dog, shout out to them. They helped me out a ton. When they left, he's like, "You ready to go?" We're going to keep looking. I'm like, hell yeah. And I said, I got a good idea of where he went, because when I shot Jim Abbott in 2018, it seems like these deer do the kind of same thing. So I'm like, well, I'm going to keep working out. I've called the neighbor. I've actually talked to the neighbor face to face after I shot him. He gave me permission to go in, do whatever I need to do. He said, just let me know how it goes, kind of thing. Well, Taylor and I we split up. He's got the dog. He's kind of working the edge, and we're in a timber that's surrounded by ag fields. So I'm like, he could have went out in the ag field and could have died. So he's basically scouring the edge of this timber that I'm in. I'm in the timber just looking for blood, looking for anything. It's a little after 2 a.m., and I get a phone call from Taylor, and he goes, dude, I got him right here. He's right here. And I'm like, no kidding. He's like, yeah, but he's still alive. And I said, okay. He's like, get over here right now. I'm like, all right. So I go up there. We see him.
How far away from him are you?
Taylor got to about, how far is Taylor from me?
Yeah, when you got the call.
He was probably
pretty well split up.
150 yards from me probably.
Oh,
he was out in front of me where I was heading. He kind of got out in front of me. And he's like, get up here right now, and he explained to me where he was, so I didn't walk that way and bump him. He's like, he's in a bad shape right now. And like, okay. So I went up there and found him. We couldn't get close to him. He was laying in a bed, and he just, he just wasn't doing good. So I'm like, okay, well, let's get out of here. I'm going to come back in the morning, and he should be, I would think, right there.
So is he in the crops now, or is he in the woods?
Nope, he's in timber.
Okay.
In another neighbor's timber. And I had to get permission to go on that neighbor. So
props on getting permission, though. A lot of guys skip that part, and just because it's dark,
Exactly. I did not want to do that.
That's important.
It's really important, because so I get up the next morning. I get home at like 4 a.m., finally get to bed. I wake up at 7 and drinking coffee, and I can see the hayfield that leads up to this timber where he's at. And the 2 coyotes that I had that day were working into that timber through the hayfield. And I'm like, this is not good. Not good at all. Like, I'm watching these coyotes work across this hayfield, going to go into the timber where I last left him.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks. And it's cold. Dude, it's low 30s. It's been I mean, it has not got above 45 degrees in 5 days. Like, it's colder and shit. So I knew the meat wouldn't be spoiled, but it's just like, can I get there before the coyotes do? I knew he'd be dead in there. So I had to go get permission. So I went to the landowner's house at 8 o'clock in the morning as he's pulling out of his driveway. And if I literally was 3 minutes later, I wouldn't have caught him. He's pulling out. I stopped him from going out of his driveway. And he pulls back into his driveway. And I'm like, hey, my name's Aaron Blasey. And I'm such, he knew my brother-in-law and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I shot a deer yesterday. And he's in your timber right now. Do you care if I go back there? Hell no. You go back there. Do what you got to do. He's like, you can take my hayfield back there. Drive through the hayfield. Do what you got to do. And he's like, if you need more guys, be my guest. Go back there, get them, let me know how it goes. And I'm like, wow, that went a lot differently than it could have went,
Yeah.
So my wife and then my dad and I went back there, and he's in a 4-acre patch of timber that's really mature, so there's like not a lot of understory. You can see through it. I'm like, let's just grid search this. We're going to grid search it a couple times. Nothing. Didn't find a deer. Walked up on his bed where I left him. Nothing at all. And I'm like, crap. Where is he now? So there's another patch of timber. I got permission to go in that timber. We grid searched that twice. Nothing. And I'm like, crap. And then I thought to myself, maybe he's backtracking back to where I kind of shot him. That was the next timber that we needed to go in. And that was the initial timber that I watched him walk into after I shot him. So I called that landowner again. Now it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I think he's got a guy that hunts his property. So I didn't want to go blazing through there. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to ruin anybody's hunting and stuff like that. So I call him back up and I said, well, I'm just curious if I can go back in your property and look one more time. He goes, I don't care. And he's like, whatever you got to do. Get in there. I said, well, do you have someone hunting? He goes, nope, he's out of there. And I said, are you sure that you're good with me going there? I don't care. Go get your deer, please. And I'm like, okay. So we start tracking. And literally we're looking for body now. I walk up on a bed that's got wet blood in it. And I'm like, holy shit, is he backtracking now? Because he's going back to where I shot him at. And I tell my dad, and I'm like, Dad, there's a bed right here, wet blood in it, not a ton. And then I tell my wife to get on the edge of the timber because I said, I'm going to keep pushing through. If he skirts out, you can see him. And, I'm like, we're 26, 27 hours into this, and I cannot believe he's still alive if he is. I work off probably another 100 yards. I find another bed, and it's wet blood. Still kind of warm. I mean, it's like I said, it's like in the upper 30s and the 40s that morning. So it's like, it's kind of warm, but it's not like, it's still kind of chilly. I'm like, I swear, I feel like he's going this way. I feel like we're right behind him.
So how far are you right now from where you hit him?
400 yards.
Okay.
But he's going back to where I hit him.
Yeah.
Yep. He's
making
going
his way back. Okay.
He's trying, and I'm going to get to that here. So it wasn't 15 minutes later, my phone goes off, my cell cam goes off. He's in front of my cell cam, and he's going back to the standing corn. Like, I have a cell cam where I shot him. He is standing in front of the cell cam 150 yards from where we're standing at the moment. He is right in front of us. We kicked him up. And I'm like, my dad is getting ready to get out in the field where my cell cam is on the edge of our timber. So it's in the same field that he's going to walk into. And I'm like, Dad, get down. He's out there right now. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is he doing? I'm like, he's trying to get back to that standing corn. Like, he's trying to get back. Like, he's not in a good shape right now. My wife doesn't even say anything. She's like, I'm going to the house to make sure he doesn't get, like, I want to see where he goes. She runs. My truck is a
God bless her.
Oh yeah, I'm married up. That's what I did. My truck is a mile west where we started this morning. He's running east. My wife runs around to get to our house to make sure she sees where he goes. My dad and I, as quickly as we can, get back to the truck. My thoughts are he's going to try to get to this corn. I've got to stand on the edge of the corn where it meets the timber that he's in. He's in this timber. It's a 4-acre patch of timber that we own that he's going to try to get to this corn. My goal was to get to that stand and sit it the rest of the day. Because if he comes by me, game over. It's going to be game over. My dad and I get to the truck. I call my wife. Has he come out? No, he's not come out. I'm like, okay. So I get around. My dad drops me off, and I said, I will see you at dark, basically. I start creeping up the corn edge where I shot him, okay? And I'm working into the timber. I got a good wind. And I'm, trying to get a hold of my wife. She's not answering. And I'm trying to figure out if this deer has come out into the... So, there's cut corn, and then there's standing corn that they butts right up to each other, okay? So half of it's cut, half of it's standing. So I'm inching up. I get into all this CRP, and I'm like, I cannot get in the stand. It's going to be too loud. And I'm like, okay, I'm far enough. I can get a good shot off if he comes back by. My dad calls me. He's like, I'm at your house right now, and he's coming at your house in the cut corn right now. What do I do? And I said, cut him off. Kick him back to me. I don't want him to leave the section. He's got to stay right here. Because I didn't want to deal with other landowners. I just want him to stay right here.
Yeah, give me a second shot.
Exactly.
Come into this place and
exactly.
die.
I run out over the hill, get on the edge of the standing corn, and I look over the hill, and I see my dad coming out of my driveway on the road, and I see the deer in between both of us. The deer stops and starts coming right up the corn edge to me, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot him right here, and we're going to end it. He is on a beeline, has no idea I'm there. He's going to come right up to me. I'm going to shoot him right here, and we're going to be done. So I'm ready. I'm watching this deer. I'm kind of peeking around the edge of the corn, and I'm like, it's going to happen. The deer gets to 80 yards and stops and turns into the standing corn and goes into the standing corn. And I'm like, no.
Oh, my God.
This is over 20 acres of standing corn, roughly 20 acres of standing corn. I can do nothing in the standing corn now because what are you going to do in standing corn? I'm deflated. I'm like, what is going on? It's 27 hours after I shot this deer. Why is he still living? And I feel terrible. Absolutely terrible that I've put this deer through this. Why couldn't I just get it done initially and be done with it? I'm deflated. So I got to walk basically down the corn row by him to get to my truck to get out of there. And I got an arrow knocked, and I'm like, I'm just going to creep down this corn edge. I'm going to see where he went in, mark it, and I'm going to come back in the morning. It's going to be cold. I said, I don't need to push him around this corn. I don't want to push him anywhere else. My full intentions is that my thought process was that deer was going to go in there. He felt safe in there. He's going to bed up, and he's just going to expire. I just need to give him more time. So I'm walking down the field edge, and I'm creeping, not making a noise. And I get to his tracks, and I get to where he barrels in the corn, and there's corn laying down. I look about 10 rows into the corn, and there's probably a 20-yard long by 10-yard wide swath of corn that is just completely mowed down. But it's like coons would do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's been there. He didn't just go in there and just start flailing around. And I thought to myself, I'm like, man, I wonder if he's bedded right there, 10 rows in. I can see it open. And I'm looking around, I can't see anything. I'm like, I just need to get out of here. So I get out of there. I go back home and I work the rest of the day. And I'm like, dude, it's brutal. So I know it's going to be cold enough, and I'm just hoping he's going to go in there and die. One of my good friends calls me that night, and he's like, so what's your plan? This is Thursday. I shot him on a Wednesday. This is Thursday night. I go, I'm going after him tomorrow. I said, tomorrow morning, I'm walking every row of that corn. everyone by myself, like, because it's a Friday. Everybody's going to be working. I got no help. I'm going to find this deer. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to find this deer. I know he's going to pass away. I know he's going to die. Deer can't live from an intestine or a gut shot. They can't. It poisons themselves. It just takes a while. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I'm taking tomorrow off. I'm going to hunt in the morning. I'll come help you. I'm like, okay. So I get up at I don't know, my wife didn't have to work, so she could take my daughter to school. I get up. It's like 6:30 in the morning. This is for a time change. So it's still dark. And I'm getting my stuff on, and I leave the house. It's not even daylight yet. And I'm driving the corn, like around the roads, to see if I can see him cross the road and the headlights, anything. Like maybe he's using the nighttime to move. I don't know. I'm just hoping a prayer.
Trying to be proactive, yeah.
Yes. I drive around for 3 hours, like in a section, just like glassing every inch. I'd get out. I'd walk the road edge where the road's close to him to see if there's blood, see if there's tracks, him crossing, anything. I spent so much time. 10 o'clock, 48 hours since I shot him. I shot at 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Well, it was a little bit before that. My buddy calls me. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm over here right now kind of looking. He's like, I'm getting out of the stand. I'll meet you. I'm like, okay. So he comes to the house, and he goes, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to take his track and where I saw his track going, and I'm going to walk it. And then if you want to get like 30, 40 yards down from me, we'll just kind of cross the edges or the rows as we go and look down the rows and see if we can see something. We walk up the corn edge, and I find out where he goes in. I'm like, I'm going to go in here just trying to be quiet, you know what I mean? And he goes about 40 yards down, and we go through the first couple rows. I'm getting to that open area where I saw. So I finally get into the open area, and there's kind of like two layers to it. It's like open, and then there's a couple rows of corn, then it's open again. And in front of me, the way I was going, there was corn stalks down, like right in front of me. So I wanted to be quiet. I couldn't get through it because I'd be busting corn all over. It made me kind of go west and then have to go south. I took 2 steps to the west. I look down, and I see hair right there in the open area. And I kind of look around this corn stalk, and there he is piled up right there, dead, right in that open, 12 rows into the corn. And I go,
no
I freaking
way.
freaked out. I said, Cole, he's right here. He's done right here. And I'm like, oh my God. He literally ran in there 12 rows. And when I walked by him, he was probably laying down
on his last leg. Yeah. Wow.
Crazy. And I went ecstatic. Like
2 days later.
48 hours later.
Following him around.
Yep. And I was fully intended on walking every row of that 20-acre corn.
So how far
did he expire from where I shot him?
Yeah.
Probably 150 yards.
How far do you think he went in that time?
We tracked him just over 6 miles. But not as a crow flies. As like loops and turns and like that's what my phone said, but I don't think it was 6 miles. If I had to guess, it would be for sure 4 miles.
So he just tried to double back.
Mm-hmm. He tried to get back to where he felt safe.
Wow.
And it was the only standing corn crop in the section. Unbelievable, dude.
I've never put a whole lot of weight towards standing corn, and guys say like, when I'm combining, there's 30 deer holed up in the last 8 rows as I'm taking it off, and I've never seen that or had an experience like you just described where it is their bedroom.
Yep.
And that's just crazy, man.
I'm not proud of it at all. I'm really not. Like, I'm proud that I got the deer, but the shot. So when we rolled him over, it was center mass. He was quartering to me, like I said. But where it came out low, and the guts were coming out. So that's why we weren't getting any blood. But honestly, every time I saw him after I shot him, he was always walking. He was never running. And even when we kicked him out, and my dad kind of like kicked him back to the section, my dad even said he was not doing good, but he wasn't. It was kind of like a little trot. It wasn't like a dead run. Like he just
a shuffle.
Yep. Yeah. And
wow.
We processed them. The meat's still good. I've got the meat. We got almost 50 pounds of burger off him. Like, I've got all the meat, everything, dude. Like, plan on fully. I got lucky in the fact that coyotes, nothing got them.
How did they not?
I have no
figure
idea,
it out,
dude.
you know?
No clue how they didn't get him. But I also got lucky in the fact that, like, it was cold, and for a fact, I know he lived for 27 hours. I watched him live for 27 hours after a gut shot. So when I gutted him, I got guts, and I got it mostly intestine. I never got liver. I never got lung. Nothing.
Wow.
And he lived that long. Yeah. Crazy.
Was he still warm when you got to him?
No, not really. I think he died. I'm not going to say he died right after I walked by him, but he died obviously sometime
closer to that.
From
you finding him.
When I walked by him, it was 1:00 in the afternoon on Thursday. I found him at 10:00 on Friday morning. So in that time, he obviously passed away within that time there.
Wow.
But crazy, man. I mean, mature deer. I got to believe he's going to be at least 4 years old, possibly 5 years old.
Yeah, we're looking at him right now, and he carries his mass all the way through everything. I mean, for around here, he's everything you could ask for in a buck, regardless of score.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely a mature deer.
He was 230 pounds on the hoof. He scored 118.
Is your back hurt from dragging all these deer out of the woods? Or?
I've had a lot of help. He scored 118 and 7/8 gross as an 8-pointer. He's got a drop tine that just barely didn't. He can't score. It's not quite an inch. And then he's got another flyer that wasn't quite an inch, but he's got 8 scoreable. Just a monarch, dude. Just like a mature, like, you've hunted this area as long as I have. Like, the deer like that I'm not going to say they're an anomaly, but they're just not, like, as far as how mature he was and how big he was, they don't get that way all the time.
I mean, we're looking at all 3 of them right now, and I can't help but, I mean, pick up the one that was from around here and definitely probably the most mature, or maybe not the most mature, but definitely probably had some lead thrown over his back and some arrows thrown at him over the years.
For sure. No, it was crazy though, man. Like that wild story, 2-year quest with him, you know what I mean? And for the fact that, like, I really wish I would have put a better shot on him. You know, I honestly feel terrible about that. But, like,
props on sticking with it though, man. I know a lot of people that would have just. And maybe even myself, you know, after 24 hours and, like, there he is on his feet, you know, like, maybe he's fine, maybe he's not. Like,
well, I was fully planning on, like, if I wouldn't have found him in the corn that day, if I know he wasn't in the corn, I was going to keep looking. I was going to go Saturday. I was going to keep looking. I was going to go to the neighbors, get permission on them, because they've got, like, a big sorghum field that I'm like, maybe he went to that. Yeah. I was going to see if I could walk that. Like, that deer meant a lot to me, and it was just to the point where I didn't do my job on the front end of it to where I needed to do that deer justice to, like, I knew he was going to die, but I just needed to stay on him and find him, and that's, you know.
Man, that whole time I thought you were going to get another arrow into him. Like we said earlier, this is the first time I've heard how it all played out, and, like, man, you would have thought at some point he would have just been out of gas and you could have snuck up on him. But that just shows you how crazy tough they are to just stay out in front of you enough to survive.
You know, and we're usually dealing with 2.5, possibly 3.5-year-old deer around here, you know, if you're lucky. This deer, I think, honestly, for sure I pulled his teeth. I'm going to get him aged. I would say he's 4. He could be 5 years old. You know,
I think 4 is a very conservative, like, for sure bet.
And I don't know, I'm not saying 2-year-old deer aren't tough, but, like, we're dealing with a deer that's, like, you know, they're tough animals. So
you saw him run multiple 2-year-olds off and probably maybe a 3-year-old off. Like, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't one
He
of
ruled the
them.
roost around here. I honestly think he's the most mature deer in this section he's the biggest deer I've had on camera all year, so.
Man, that's a great buck, man. Like, and for number 3, I mean, like, you've just had a roller coaster of a season.
I wouldn't say I've had it probably too easy, to be honest with you.
Well, you definitely earned number 3, man.
Oh.
I mean,
Maybe that was the hard fall that I was thinking with before the first 2. I almost felt like it was too easy, and then the third one, it's like, okay,
I was
kind of
due
brought me
for
down to
something like
reality.
this, yeah.
You know what I mean? Missed, and then you hit them not very good, and then you literally track them for 48 hours, and I just couldn't let them go. I just had to find out. I had to find them. And I had a dog lined up to come in the next day, the day that I found him too, to help me in the corn.
I was going to ask about that. It seems like that would have been a lot of people's default go-to, get the dog in there and let it work. And
So I figured in the corn, helping me run the rows, I had a dog lined up to come and help me in the corn too that day. So, but I just found him first before the dog could get there. So, but yeah, I was going to pull out every stop I could. And then it was like, the other thing was like, do I wait for the farmer to take off the crops and I'm going to go with him,
You're right.
and find him before he runs them through the combine kind of thing too. So
yeah, I had a friend that happened to in the thumb a couple
Really?
days ago. Yeah. Hit it, and 2 days later the farmer hit it.
No
got it
way.
in the combine, yeah. Took the whole main beam off the one side, ate the whole G2, like they couldn't even recover it.
Oh,
Just like basically ground it up, and he got the it looks like a 9 in the picture. It was
Right.
a 10, and he's gonna have to get it repaired, but he found it, man, and
big
that's
deer.
yeah,
Wow.
big. I mean, all you can
Good
ask
deer.
for around
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely.
Wow. Yeah, man. So that's it.
Wow,
Pretty crazy.
that is insane.
My first deer on the ground, spot and stalk, and
Yeah,
to your question.
props on keep pushing in on them like that. Like, there's definitely a learning curve with that, and you can bump a lot of deer doing that. But
Yeah.
like when you hone in on like, oh man, the wind's in my favor and it's making this corn make a lot
Yep.
of noise. Like I can
The
get
corn
away
being
with
there was
something here.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, when she submitted to him is when I knew, like, when I saw her licking his antlers and his face, like
Yeah,
kissing
that is
him,
nuts,
I'm
man.
like, okay, she submitted. As long as I stay hidden, I'm good. I can get as close as I want. And I got to 23 yards and just couldn't make it happen then. So
Man.
crazy.
Yeah. So number 4. I wonder what the
I'm on the
story will
pursuit.
bring, man.
I'm on the pursuit of number 4. Almost had it done the other night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in
I
tomorrow
think it'll
night.
happen, man. We still got a few days before gun season around here, and then you never know what'll happen after that.
The
either.
first fork horn might be in trouble. Just
Yeah. Just to say he did it.
yep.
Cool.
Well,
Man.
thank you, man, for coming on here and just kind of listening to my story.
Yeah, dude. No, that was. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat a few different times. It was awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Well, thank you, everybody out there, for listening. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed that long dissertation. But that is my Michigan buck from this year so far. I appreciate everybody listening and downloading. If you can go to iTunes, please go there and leave a 5-star review, leave a 5-star rating and a written review. That'd be greatly appreciated. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you right here next time on the Fall Podcast.